Hello everyone, it's Ruby here today. So I thought that I would do a book review. This book review is Losing It, How We Popped Our Cherry Over the Last 80 Years by Kate Monro. So this is the book cover. I got a digital copy of it, so it is on my Kobo. I'm not really sure if you can see it because I don't have a view thing. But of course I'll include all of the information below as well. So this is a book about different people's experiences with virginity loss. It started out as a minor project that the author had started while interviewing her friends and friends of friends on their own experiences with virginity loss and the concept of virginity. And it ended up becoming this very much larger project, which she made a blog for, which I'll link down below, called The Virginity Project. And from what she encountered while interviewing people and getting emails on these sorts of concepts is that virginity to a lot of people means a lot of different things, and that they can involve emotions, negative emotions, positive emotions, and that they can be tied to families or religious beliefs like we've already assumed. But what had happened when she'd been interviewing people is that she not only discovered that there were differences, but that she had uncovered kind of a world that we don't really talk about. People might brag or they might try and hide it. Maybe there's a lot of talk about it on TV or online, but not a lot of people will go into depth about the emotions that they encounter or don't encounter and the things that result from it. And she was able to interview a lot of people from previous generations, and by doing so she got an insight into the cultural context of that time, of before having birth control, or of not being able to sort of talk about it with family, or not even knowing kind of the mechanics of it because you hadn't been given a sex ed class. Now, I understand that this topic is sort of sensitive, and I had been wary when I had started reading it because I think that there's a lot of potential for it to go either right or wrong when it comes to these sorts of topics and conceptions, because it can easily become more of like a debate on whether or not you should lose your virginity, if you should even talk about it, because it is a very private conversation. And I think that by writing a book about it and having obviously everybody's consent to publish it under different names, she was able to encounter sort of this intimate experience without breaking any promises or making it that much more difficult to write. And I think she did it fairly well, because by presenting them and by presenting different orientations and disabilities and eras and men and women, she was able to also kind of contrast the different belief systems and sort of the different conceptions around the kind of person you are and kind of what you're expected to be. And by presenting that, instead of kind of presenting her own opinion or kind of presenting the both in tandem, you're also able to kind of come to your own conclusions about what you would like to do, or your own experiences, or whatever. It instantly drew me in, because I think another thing that is a potential for books like this, because it is nonfiction and it is sort of a cultural examination or analysis, it can be extremely dry. And I think by having her own commentary into it and kind of having her own experiences as she's interviewing other people and sort of her own journey, she's able to kind of give us a conversation instead of teaching us things or having us teach each other. I would definitely recommend this book. Obviously, like I've said before, and I'll say again, it is a sensitive subject, so it's obviously, you have to keep that in mind when you read it. Some of the blurbs are explicit. Some people just sort of talk about what they've done, but other people sort of talk about anatomy or those sorts of things. And I think that you have to kind of consider that in mind when you pick it up. But I mean, like, a book like this too sort of makes you sort of evaluate those sorts of things and doesn't villainize or sensationalize sex. So I don't consider it to be like a pornography book, and I don't consider it to be sort of inappropriate at the same time, if that makes any sense. So obviously evaluate how old you are, your own experiences, if you're comfortable with this kind of book, and if you kind of want to explore any of that sort of stuff. Hopefully that gave enough information. It is kind of a book that kind of you have to get your own sort of, obviously, your own journey into. It's nonfiction, so it's not going to be, of course, everybody's tastes. It's more of like an analysis than it is like a wild ride fictional book, but I still quite enjoyed it, and I was pleasantly surprised by the sensitivity of the book. So of course, like always, you can subscribe, like, comment, talk about what you would think of this kind of book, if you like these kind of books, if you like reviews, obviously. I'll also include all of my other information. I have other book reviews that I do. Sometimes I will write them and sometimes I will videotape them. Videotape, really. Sometimes I will film them. Also, I'll put all my information obviously in the description bar. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.